Yo, it's me. It's DDP. Self high five.
DDP.
What's up? It's
Can
funny.
you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Hold on a second. Let me just tell Marlon.
Okay.
Sure.
God, I don't know what I did to my phone. I was reading. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was reading someone who had written about the biography I did on A&E and how they said something like, started out saying, I've always thought that a little DDP is good, but this time they dropped the ball. He should have had 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. But the way he was trying to read, he kept sending all those things to spam, all the different. So I kept trying to get rid of it, trying to read the article. And my Safari doesn't work on my phone anymore.
Oh, no.
Yeah, must. But that's the only thing that's wrong. So I just went, and so I went on my computer, and I said, "Well, it's on there too. Hopefully that'll work." So that's how I got a hold of you guys. So how are
Good
you?
deal. We're doing great. How about you? Are you in Florida today?
No, I won't be in Florida probably till the fall.
Okay.
Excuse me. My house, our retreat should be done at that point.
Okay.
So looking forward to that. So we'll move pretty much, there, and I'll be there over 6 months of the year, so we get the tax benefits.
Right.
I'm living right on the beach, so that's another driving force to keep me there.
You could make fun of me for this. I don't buy lottery tickets, but it's almost $1 billion. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to go buy one. And I'm right here in Northwest Mississippi. I'm just under Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis is 8 miles away, but the taxes in Tennessee are tremendously better than they are in Mississippi. And I told my wife, I was like, when I'm out doing my running around, I'm going to buy my lottery ticket in Tennessee because that's going to save us about $40-something million if we happen to hit.
That's tremendous. Is it really at $1 billion?
It's like 968 million.
Wow.
It's worth to go spend the $2-3.
Hell yeah, dude. Eventually somebody's got to win. Did you ever see that movie on the movie that Robert Cranston was and Annette Bening? Have you seen that about just Google that? And
okay.
They figure out how to. It all comes down to how many tickets you buy, what your chances are that you win.
Yeah.
And they made for their town millions of dollars.
Yes.
That's actually a true thing. There's a place in California. I want to say Stockton, California, which is not the nicer parts.
Yeah.
The convenience store has sold 2 jackpot in like the last 3 years, and people will flood that area at a certain time and buy tickets like crazy. But yeah, there is something to that. I don't know. I don't understand it, but yeah, I've read about that. I actually heard about that back in like the 90s for the first time. But before we get going crazy on the lottery, just want to remind you, well, first, thank you for coming back and joining us again.
Yes.
And second, we're going to be on the radio. So let's try to keep our 4-letter words at a minimum if we can. We don't want the FCC calling. I like the Powerball to call me, not the FCC. So
yeah, right.
All right. I'm going to pull us down. We're going to get going. Okay, DDP?
You got it.
You are locked in on the Stingray Show. And coming up on this edition, we have a very special guest joining us who was a WWE Hall of Famer as well as a big icon in the WCW. Diamond Dallas Page, a.k.a. DDP, will join us on this edition of the Stingray Show. Guys, we've got a lot to cover with him, so let's get things rocking and rolling.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, aka Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate
No,
that.
I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, to everyone in Tuscaloosa listening here on Tide 100.9, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And ladies and gentlemen, with all of that, we want to say welcome inside another edition of the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you guys. And Heath, we are counting down the days and the hours, if you are a wrestling fan, to the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania, which will be here April the 6th and the 7th.
Yeah, you know, I'm excited about today's show, Stephen, but I can tell by your energy, you're like super duper excited. You're like over the top excited about today. But you should.
Really,
we have a wonderful guest. He's coming back for the second time on our show.
That's right. And he, of course, like I said off the top, is a WWE Hall of Famer as well as a WCW World Heavyweight Champion 3 times, as well as a WCW United States Heavyweight Champion twice. He is also known as a yoga instructor with DDP Yoga. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome back to the Stingray Show, Mr. Diamond Dallas Page. Dallas, how in the world are you today?
Unstoppable, baby. Unstoppable, man.
I like it.
Yeah, we got a lot of really good things happening. And I'm excited to go to WrestleMania. I probably wouldn't have gone this year if Cody wasn't in the now double main event on both nights. I probably wouldn't go because my wife's 50th birthday is coming up on the 13th, and I'm taking her to Bora Bora.
Nice.
So like that plane ride wasn't enough, you know. Now I'm going to go from Philly to Detroit to LA to it's gonna be like one of those 24-hour traveling days, which I'll get myself in the right state of mind when it comes, but on the way there, like I probably wouldn't have gone to this Mania this year. But I mean, now it's going to be maybe the hottest Mania. Yeah, it's got on paper looks like the hottest Mania they may have ever had.
So, Diamond Dallas Page, I do want to ask you briefly, as a superstar getting ready for WrestleMania, what is the anticipation like for that event coming up?
Oh, man. It's, first of all, excitement, of just even being a part of it. I just saw it. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, they just qualified for the tag team, match that they're going to have, and they've been with the company for 10 years. And this, their first WrestleMania, so it's a really big deal, to just to participate. Never mind being at the top of the card like that, and with all the storylines that are happening right now. But I just text both of them because Tommaso, when he broke his neck, when he was going to the hospital, he had texted me, D, I broke my neck. Can I come see you when I finish with the rehab? I was like, absolutely. And I've done that for Ivar and I'm going to
Mhm.
do Raymond, the other Viking, because people don't realize, they see all these, these crazy moves that, today as a wrestler, you're an actor, you're a stunt man, you're an acrobat, you're a gladiator, you're a rock star, and a truck driver all rolled into one, It's all, unless you're on top of the tippity top like Cody and those guys, they got to drive your own cars, load your own stuff, find your own gym, and it's so when you're young, it's fun and exuberant, but when you get older, you're like, man, I hate the road. I hate the road. I don't want to leave. That's one of the places I'm building, our retreat in Panama City Beach.
Mhm.
So people come to me. I don't have to
Right.
go, and we're really excited about that. But the whole WrestleMania thing, like, when you're at Cody's level, like that's a different level. Like we sat
Mhm.
right in this room a year ago, and debating over, if he wins, the Universal title last year, and what if he doesn't? And my attitude was, so what? Was it really that bad a thing if you don't win?
Right.
And he said, I knew you were going to say that, but I'm the only one who said that,
Right.
and the reason why is because WWE has a habit of, if they decide this person's going to be the guy, they're going to shove you down your throat, whether
Right.
you all want them or not.
Right.
And that almost could have been what was happening, but then he didn't win, right? And
Mhm.
now we're back here again. The things that make wrestling feuds is the storyline, but what really makes them legendary is the length.
Mhm.
How long? The reason why Randy Savage and I were the feud of the year in 1997, because it was like 10 months
Mhm.
before we put a pin in it and then moved on to other things. And for Cody, this has been over 2 years.
Wow.
So people are heavily invested. And I love what The Rock's done. You have to understand, when a guy like The Rock comes in, well, first of all, there's nobody like The Rock.
Right.
And the odds of us ever having the opportunity to grab a celebrity, like when Mike Tyson did the
Mhm.
thing that he did, all right, which with Stone Cold, and he just reffed, but when he got involved, it got heavy. When Carl Malone and Rodman got involved, coming off the playoffs that year of being white hot, those two guys going for the ball at one time, and it's already been announced the match, and they're wrestling each other for the ball. Like that that took the Diamond Dallas Page name to a different level.
Mhm.
I was attached to that, and that was really my idea. Um, so it really it became a part of pop culture at the time, and people who didn't watch wrestling ever watched that. That's the second biggest drawing pay-per-view of all time.
Wow.
WCW. And the crazy thing is, Hulk had said to me 4 years earlier, I don't know how you're getting so much better, so much faster, than the average bear. He said, but whatever you're doing, you need to keep doing it, because it's not this year or next year or the year after. He said, but somewhere down the line, I believe you have the ability to draw huge money with me. And
Wow.
then we did, and we did it a number
Right.
of times. But this one here, when I was in Jamaica for one of my friends was getting married, and I just was on my computer playing around, and I saw all these WWE performers on this stage, and they were like coming out with music and the whole deal, but it was basically an hour what do you call it, press conference.
Right.
And then it gets to, and I kind of got my attention. So I was listening to someone, because most of the people at that level they're good talkers. So they're going to be entertaining when they're out there. And then Roman came out. And then Rock came out. And Rock had pretty much, because people, a lot of people love having a Rock because he's the biggest star in the world.
Right.
And Rock got a following far past, even the WWE. On I think Facebook, WWE's got 82 million or something. I think it's something like that. Rock's got 387 million people following.
That's crazy.
And that might be Twitter.
Insane.
I don't remember which one it was, but it's something like that. Because when he saw the whole social media thing happening, and he was probably like a mid-card performer as far as an actor was concerned, but he had all that WWE steam.
Right.
He realized, wow, this is the future. This is the future of social media.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he's so big, because he took advantage of it. He's a really smart cat, obviously.
Right.
But when I saw him come out there, not even knowing he had done the Pat McAfee show, where he basically turned himself heel, right there in the interview. And people were going to love him. We're still going to love him.
Right.
He wasn't going to let you love him this time. He's going to go out of his way. I saw when he was in Memphis, he put those people over because that's where he started.
Right.
And he got the babyface again for that night. We going right back to heel, because that's where the money's at. That's where the money's at. And I saw this, and my stuff all lit up. I want to say the wrong word there.
You're fine.
My stuff all lit up. My Twitter, my texts, my Instagram, my DMs, and I don't really pay attention to them. But then it was starting to hit my texting, like, what do you think about this? What's happening here? And so I decided I was going to do a video about it. And I tagged it. It's still up on my Instagram and my Facebook, my athlete page, Diamond Dallas page. But it's me talking about what had just happened. And I compared it to what happened in our era when the Monday Night Wars was white hot. And Scott Hall shows up out of nowhere. And then Kevin Nash shows up. And then Bischoff gets power bombed through the stage. You have to remember, no one ever touched Vince.
Right.
No one ever touched an owner of any of those federations. But Bischoff went with it. And next thing you know, Vince is doing the same thing, But he was the first to do that. And then you get your best three against our best three. And then there's still only two guys out, going against three guys. And then when Macho's down, here comes Hulk to save the day. And then he drops the leg on Mach and turns heel. I had to talk about that because I remember when that happened, Eric Bischoff told me that the phones lit up at Turner. Like parents were so mad because now their little kid, none of the little babies or little young boys and little girls crying, because Hulk's a bad guy, and
love it.
It emotionally affected people because they didn't know back then. Is Vince working with, Turner? Is that what's happening here? Like, they didn't know. Now all of a sudden you have 25 years later, and you've got The Rock, and he's being met with, we want Cody and Rocky, so it was probably split down the middle at one point for the people who would have huge Cody fans. But when he turned heel, he completely flipped it. And that was that was a moment, and like you don't know what's real and what's not. Because when it comes to professional wrestling, it's kind of like the politics, of a predetermined sports entertainment world, which I'm almost saying like I'm throwing a flag on a couple of those calls for Kansas City going into that, before they got to the Super Bowl and the let's just call it the Taylor Swift, moments of just like there was a couple of calls that were like, really? Like
Hey,
all that call takes is a call here and a call there, and it shifts momentum.
Yes.
So as far as I'm concerned, the NFL is pretty much a work as well.
DDP, we're about to head to break, but I got to ask you: is DDP a Swiftie?
No, I have a lot of respect for her because of the way she treats her fans. I'm not a big fan, but I don't really know her work, but
Right.
I think as a human being and being a mega star, she's pretty awesome.
Yes.
As far as being, because it's so easy to get your head so full of, especially when you're at her level. She's the biggest female star in the world.
Yeah, no doubt.
And when I went to going shopping the other day and I saw 3 different magazines with her face on it, they're trying to sell magazines. I just my wife has met her 3 times, always gave her a big hug, always so nice to everyone. So
Wow.
that's a person of character as far as I'm
it
concerned.
is.
I got a lot of respect for her.
So DDP, hold that thought because we are up against our first break, and when we come back, we are going to dive into your career in the WCW and the WWE. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. For 75 years and counting, the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op has been serving West Alabama for all of their hunting, outdoor, gardening, and farming needs, as well as seasonal flowers and vegetables. And this year is no different. The Spring Co-op Plant Sale goes on from March the 25th through May the 11th. Pick any 5 for $20. Mix any varieties. That is the Spring Plant Sale at the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op. The Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op is located in Northport, Alabama, just west of the Highway 82 and 43 intersection at 4301 McFarland Boulevard in Northport. Go by there and see them today for their spring plant sale, March the 25th through May the 11th, only at the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op.
Yo, it's me. It's DDP.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Our guest this evening is Diamond Dallas Page, DDP of DDP Yoga and WWE Hall of Famer. And DDP, I do have to ask you, a couple of weeks ago now, an icon in the wrestling industry decided to retire, the one and only Sting. Please talk about your relationship with Sting and what you believe Sting meant to the wrestling industry.
Oh, there's a lot of amazing moments. I mean, Stinger, I was sitting at this desk right here when he had called me and said he was doing his last match, and he goes, "If you can't do it, no problem, bro. But I'd love to have you there because they're just and he called Lex and he called guys who were big in his career and time spent with them. And I said I can't be on camera, but I will definitely be there. And me and my buddy Scotty Riggs, we drove up 5.5 hours up to do it, and then they got us hotel room stuff. We stayed over and drove back next day. But being there, it was time. He'd hit that run, and he was still leaving. When you're working with Darby Allin, who's a hell of a young talent, and they had such great chemistry together, and Sting brought Darby to a different level.
Yes.
And when you no, it's like, I mean, he's 64. He
Mhm.
probably would have retired a year earlier, but for whatever reason, he kept going, and he still looked good going out. But
Right.
the thing that was the happiest for him was that when you're on the road the way we were on the road, and he hasn't been like that for the last 20 years, but going into that last 20 years, he lived on the road, and your
Mhm.
family suffers from that, big time. I think people have seen enough documentaries now that they understand, like, that really hurts you. It breaks up families, it creates animosity, but to see his 2 boys there, and I ain't seen them since they were little kids, and then to see them all jacked up and, one is the surfer Sting and one is the crow Sting.
Right.
That was probably, I bet you that was one of his top favorite moments of all time in the ring. Getting them to come in there and shining them a little bit and doing it. And then they didn't pull any punches with what they did. It was kind of crazy. I'm sure he was sore as hell the next day.
Yes.
And really glad to be, done, because like every time you go in that ring, every single time, you leave a little piece of your body in there,
Yes.
Mhm.
and you don't really feel it till you get to where he is now. Like you don't really through your 50s, most guys are, they can still fight through that and still hit the weights hard, and then they end up hurting themselves even more because they have tearing muscles.
Mhm.
And bottom line is for him to have had that and had all the people there and the fans, and that place was sold out. And
Yes.
they hadn't been really selling any places out recently because
Mhm.
WWE had all the momentum. But for Sting's last match, people came from all over for that. And it was a credit to him as not just a wrestler, but as a human being. And he's one of the really good guys. I'll tell you, only reason I know this date was because I was a friend of mine sent me this match of me and him, January 24th in 1996. Still at the bottom of the mid card. I haven't elevated up that to that next level yet, and I didn't even go to the top of the middle at that point. But over that next year of 1996, by the time I got to the end, I was white hot. In 1997, I was WCW Wrestler of the Year. Me and Randy Savage had the feud of the year. But that January 24th really was one of those little stepping stones that I'm, going to wrestle with Sting. And, I walked into his locker room where he was at. And I was, hey, Stinger. He's like, hey, buddy. He said, so what do you want to do tonight? I said, what do I want to do? I mean, what do you want to do? He's like, I've been watching you. Yeah, I've been really seeing your growth spurt has been huge lately. He goes, you lay it out. I said, me? He's like, yeah. And so I had him right in the beginning. I can't remember what we did, but I put myself at a disadvantage, and he went right for the Scorpion Deathlock, and looked like he could have beat me in the first minute, which would have made people super happy because I was a
Right.
big time, but I got to the ropes and got out. And then we start this match, and he gives me a lot. And I took it. And we got to the back. Of course, I did the job. It's Sting. I'm a mid card guy. But just so happy to have a great match. We walked through the curtain and people gave us a standing ovation. And that's the boys. They're the
That's
guys who are
awesome.
watching stuff, And Michael P.S. Hayes, who was one of my closest buddies, him and Jimmy Jam Garvin, when they were the Freebirds, when they didn't let, here I have the Freebirds, and I've got Scott Hall, the late great Scott Hall,
Mhm.
managing him, and I had that Freebird picture here somewhere, but I don't know here. Nope, that's not it. I got like a little show and tell thing all around here. I don't know what the Freebird picture is, but those guys used to rib me all the time. And when I was managing them and Scott Hall, I'm thinking I'm on fire. This is going to be huge.
Mhm.
And Magnum pulled me in to his office at TV, and I'm about to go walk the Freebirds to the ring, and he pulled me in and he said, "Listen, D, this is your last night as a manager." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Listen, I didn't want to do this, and Dusty couldn't do it, so he asked me to do it. We're just going to let you keep doing color commentating and working in the back with production. We love what you're doing there." I go, whoa, what did I do wrong? He goes, "Honestly, nothing." I go, "What? Then why can't I manage anymore?" He goes, "Honestly, it's you." I go, "What does that mean?" And he says, and it's better to give you a visual as I'm saying it. He said, "It's you, it's the hair, it's the clothes, it's the bling, it's the dolls, it's the rap." He's like, when you're out there, you're taking too much attention away from the wrestlers, and they're the ones drawing the money. And I looked at him and I went, "Magnum, are you telling me I'm too over the top for professional wrestling?" And he said, he laughed just like you just did. And he laughed and he said, "Listen, D, it's not your fault. What we should have done is put a pair of tights and boots on you and see if you could do this." I was 35 at the time.
Oh, wow.
For that moment, I went into it, like, oh, boom. Everybody goes down, even me. I just don't stay there. Because once I get down and stop feeling sorry for myself, I start to think, okay, how can I fix this? Well, I can't fix it as a manager, but I got 7 months left of my contract. I could go down the power plant. I mean, I always wanted to be a wrestler anyway. And I tried it when I was 23. I had like 3 matches, and freaking hurt my knee and was told but the doctor stay out for a month or so. And I got to run this little rock and roll bar. And then the booze, the broads, and the party took me in a whole different spot. Right. And I never really watched. I didn't really watch wrestling. And then WrestleMania happened. And I was so mad at myself for not paying my dues. Because when I wrestled 3 matches, horrible. It was 1979. And WrestleMania 82 or somewhere around there. And I was so bummed out, I stopped watching. And so when I came back, and the only reason I came back, because I was flicking the channels and I saw this cat walk with a bag over his shoulder. And that's me and him in 1992. And he pulled me in as a fan. Just his swag and the way he moved and the way he wrestled, it looked real.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so real. Everything about Jake was reality based. Everything.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Pulled me back in. And then he walks into my club like in 1996. And he walks in my club. And next thing you know, I'm a wrestling fan. And now he's telling the bushwhackers and guys that they want to, come DDP will take, there's no DDP. Luke the Bushwhacker put this picture up on his Facebook about a year ago. And it's me, him, and DiBiase. And caption was DDP before he was DDP.
Right.
Nice.
And later that night, we were drinking, me and Ted. Look at this picture. Upside down tequila shooters. That's after hours. But, it just, I thought I'm going to be a wrestler. In the beginning, I'll be a manager. I'm too old. But when I finally get the spot on Turner Broadcasting, and then they tell me you can't do it, well, now it's time to change gears and do what I was supposed to do. And I started getting, pumped up about it. And then the Freebirds, who always would rib me so bad, after that talk with Magnum, they came up to me with such empathy. They were so empathetic. And they, man, we're so sorry to hear this, and just trying to make me feel, that at least they cared.
Right.
And I was like, hey, man, Dad, don't worry about me. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I got 7 months left of my contract. I'm going to go down to power plant. I'm going to learn how to wrestle. Mm-hmm. And they both looked at each other and looked back at me and burst out laughing. They thought it was the funniest thing they ever heard. And, for someone to start that late is
Right.
absurd.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And I can't tell you how many times my 35-year-old body hit that mat in that cold warehouse. And I thought to myself, man, this fake stuff hurts like hell.
Mhm.
Good
But that was
stuff.
my journey. That was the journey that I went on in 1996 after that Sting match.
Mhm.
I was running late to the gym. I had flown in. I forgot something, so I ran by my house. And as I was running out the door, the phone started ringing. I just had to go to the answer machine. As I'm about to walk out the door, I hear Paige, P.S. And I ran to the phone. Mike, what's up, bro? I haven't talked to you in so long. Because he had left WCW and he had went to WWF to be one of the writers. One of the
Okay.
guys who books the talent. He's been there for 30 years now.
Wow.
And he said to me, when I said, Mike, what are you doing? He's like, God, son of a mother. I'm like, Mike, what's the matter? What's the matter? He's like, Paige, you know how when you call in the middle of the day, you don't expect anybody to pick up the phone. You just want to leave a message. I said, yeah, you want me to hang up so you can call back and leave a message? No. Paige, seen your match last night. We all did. I got to be honest with you, Paige. I have never been so happy to eat crow in all my life. Great match.
That's great.
So that was a pivotal moment for me.
I bet.
So she shares that with me. And then one of my favorite matches is one of the times I lost the world title to him. I don't remember where we were, but it was on Nitro. And man, I put that match up against anybody's match ever on Nitro. We had the crowd right here. I'd flip back to a heel, and because I'm not going to try to be a babyface against Sting, and we had a hell of a match. It was somewhere towards the end, the ref said, we're in the last minute, like finish it up. Goes, D, you got 5 more minutes. They'd like called it in. I go, what? 5 more minutes? Like, okay. And I threw Sting out of the ring. He was like, what are you doing? And he just said, go with it. Like, he thought I was taking advantage of him, And I freaking grabbed him around the throat, and you'll see me grab him. I go, we got 5 more minutes. And I slapped the hell out of him. And that was because me and Sting had wrestled so many times together that we could dance and just call it as we go. And let's do this, let's do that, and no one knows, because most they don't talk, but we wrestled so many times, and now we got 5 more minutes. We're not just going to grab a hold, So let's go for it, man. Let's do some false finishes. And the crowd was so hot, and I'd come up with this way to go for the diamond cutter and have him reverse it into the death drop. And first time that he didn't get it, second time he did, the roof blew off, man. It was awesome. And then I won the title back that night. So in a 4-way dance. So
awesome.
it was a hell of a day.
So DDP, hold that thought because we're up against another break. And when we come back, we are going to continue our discussion with Diamond Dallas Page. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. Are you guys sick and tired of spending $100 to $200 to $300 on a nice meal? If that's the case, then you need to go by a place that keeps a little money in your pocket. I'm talking about South's Finest Meats, which features Black Angus prime selection of steaks. You can find them at 3201 10th Avenue, right there in Tuscaloosa. South's Finest Meats is a company that believes in great customer service, fair pricing, and a place where you are appreciated. Go by and see them today right there at South's Finest Meats.
yourself high five. DDP. Too cool.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Our guest this evening is Diamond Dallas Page. And DDP, after getting to the WCW in 1998 at Halloween Havoc, you had a world title shot against then champion Bill Goldberg. Talk about that match and especially how difficult it was to wrestle Bill Goldberg.
Well, it was really only Bill's one is an amazing athlete. Obviously, at 7 years in the NFL, never got to really get the spot he had back in college where he was like all American,
Right.
Georgia. But he was really green. Like he'd only been wrestling like 15 months, but he was so believable, and everything we were doing back then was reality based. And I'll never forget. Once we know we're gonna, wrestle, I said to him, I said, "Oh man, I got this great idea. I got one spot where you're gonna miss the spear." And he said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Yes, you are." He goes, "No, I'm not." He goes, "That's my thing, man. I miss spear sets everything up." I go, "Yeah, that's why you're gonna miss it. And when you get it the second time, well, then you'll really have them." So we did this deal where I was in the corner and I can't remember how we got into it, or if he came running, I gave him a boot and he backed off, but then he really came like he did not want me to move. He wanted to get me. But I had my arms on the ropes and I threw myself up and over and onto the apron literally as he was coming. And he was coming so fast and so hard and he kept going and hit his shoulder. And I didn't know if he really hurt himself or not, but the way he fell out of the ring was kind of questionable. And then when he got in the ring and when I went to pick him up, he wouldn't come up with me. And so I grabbed the hold. I went, "Ooh, he's hurt. He's hurt a little bit there." Okay. So the next series we go through, now we're getting ready to go home. He's going to hit the spear. Well,
Yeah.
I would always say I'm a napkin. Like if Bill Goldberg's coming at me, I'm going to be gone before he ever gets there.
Yes.
If he hits me, he's going to knock me out.
Right.
So, and he broke Big Show or the Giant at the time sternum
Right.
by hitting him. So, and when you can break into that big son of a gun. So, bottom line is when he hits me, boom, it's like him hitting air and he's coming a million miles an hour. And if you watch the bump, you'll see his head hits before my body ever hits because I am a napkin. And now he goes to pick me up to do the jackhammer to me and he puts me down. I'm thinking, oh my God, he's actually really selling. I don't know at the time. He's knocked out.
Oh, wow.
He was literally out on his feet. But this is what a performer Bill Goldberg is. He picks me up with one arm, and I just flip behind him and hit him with a cutter. And I know he's going to kick out, but I'm going to lay there for like 15 seconds. So, and because he's knocked out, he's still moving. Like he's moving his body. He just should have went dead like everybody else did.
Right.
Dead. But he's not really coherent. So finally, I lay on top when I go for the cover, 1-2, and he kicks out, as opposed to 1-2, like it's still got the but it's little moments like that pull the people in farther,
Right.
And then I went to shoot him off again. He reversed it into the jackhammer, and afterwards I was like, "Bro, what the hell? What were you doing kicking out two like that?" He goes, "D, I don't remember it." any of that.
Wow.
And I would be there on my own. I can remember one time I was backstage and I just stopped walking. I look at Kimberly and I go, did I just wrestle? She went, what? I said, I'm looking at my gear. I'm standing, in my gear, sweaty, I'm like, did I just wrestle? Is this Nitro? She goes, stop it, Paige. You scared me. And then a bunch of things we won't have on your radio show. I said, what the hell? Did I just wrestle? She goes, is this Nitro? And she's like, no, it's the Great American Bash. I go,
Wow.
She goes, yeah, you just wrestled Randy Savage. I said, what happened? So if you ever watch that match on YouTube, I saw it a couple months ago. And what had happened is Randy hit me with the belt. He's with Scott Hall. No DQ match. Scott Hall gives me the razor's edge. And then Randy jumps off and drops the elbow on me.
Okay.
And by this time, I'm seriously pissing blood like 3 straight weeks. I'm like, Randy, try not to hit me in my ribs.
Right.
Hit me in my stomach. Well, what Randy did, he over projected and landed on my face.
Oh.
So he gets the one. You also have to understand that the ref is screaming for the last, I don't know how long, go home. Because when it gets to 3 hours in 1 second, at that 1 second mark, it becomes a new program.
Right.
Like it does in regular TV.
Right.
So he's literally screaming. And those ropes that we had weren't ropes. They were cable with hose around it and then tape around that. And when Randy would take off at 250 some odd pounds, he would bend his legs and push off and catapult. You get like you could hear. At least I could, because I knew when he was coming. And she said, if you watch the TV, if you watch the YouTube, you'll see me start to sit up while they're getting their hand raised because they're about to go to black. And then I let's raise up by a little bit and I come back down. It goes to black. We got to go. She said, after that, I sat up like Taker. They're in front of me. I'm behind them. I stumble to my feet. They're looking at me like, what the hell is he doing? Falls through the ropes, give them both the finger. And she said, and now we're here. I'm like, oh no. Like this is not good because we're not supposed to really fight each other, even though I've had 2 fights in the back, but yet things happen,
Right.
But this is like, we're going to beat your ass because it would be like John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, and Sylvester Stallone, boom, 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 on, Scarface, friggin', Al Pacino when he's all coked up and he goes, come on. He's getting shot left and right, but he's still shooting people, right? Like, it's just really bad. If you're the star, like Al, you can get away with it. If there's, not in this scenario, this is bad.
Right.
So I go in the locker room and I put one of those tables that, everybody always gets thrown through. Those are real tables, by the way. Just to let anybody know. And the chairs are real chairs. That's why they won't let you hit people in the head anymore. But I put that table in front of me and they kicked that door in and they're rah, 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 rah. I go, I was knocked out. I have no idea what happened. Rah, 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 rah. I go, you really think I'd do that? I threw the table out of the way. I go, let's go. Rah, 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 rah. And then I turned around and walked out. Then
good stuff.
I start feeling something right here, and then it gets a little bigger, and it feels like it's like a marble, but it's not. It's in my jaw, And then it feels like a golf ball. And Kimberly's like, we're going to the hospital. So go to the hospital. By that time, it's a softball.
Oh, geez.
Yes. So he's like, you need to, go home, take off a couple of weeks, blah, blah, blah. I wrestled the next night. I mean, I just got beat. I'm going over on Nitro, but I didn't really thought about the concussion-based stuff,
Right.
Nobody did
Right.
back then. So Randy, I'm waiting for him to show up at TV. So I'm sitting at the end of the ramp where all the trucks come in and everything. And I'm sitting on some, speaker boxes because the reason why those sound so unbelievable, it's like a concert with all the speakers that are up there. So I'm sitting on one of the boxes, and Randy walks in, and he walks right up to me, and he leans in, and he goes, "Sorry, brother." No, I know what it's like to get knocked out and be out on your feet.
Yes.
It's weird.
Man.
Very weird.
I got some fun rapid fire questions for you.
Sure.
You were a basketball player, correct?
Absolutely.
And you played a little college basketball. Did you play at Coastal Carolina?
I never played. I was recruited by them. I went there. It's really amazing to see what they've done with their program. But bars closed at 12 o'clock in South Carolina back then.
Yes.
They weren't open on Sunday. Like, I was a nightclub guy, I hadn't run my first nightclub yet, but I've been working them since I was 17. And it was too much culture shock for me, man. I wanted to go back. Like, again, you have to understand something. How I got through school was completely cheating. I was reading at a third grade level at the age of 30. And boy, that coach was so pissed off at me, and I don't blame him, because I'll never quit anything. But I'm like, this is, I can't be here. It's like every good looking girl that was, in that area that I saw was either married, or 16. And I wasn't going for the 16 thing, so always loved older women, to tell you the truth. But it was, and I had too much fun. And what also happened, they had the water slide thing. I had never seen that before. We're in Myrtle Beach, right? And I rode that thing for a contest, like who could ride it the longest. And I rode that thing for 23 hours. And there were still two people. We're never going to give up. I'm like, I'm out. And I got the flu so bad.
Oh, no.
Like, it got me so I dropped from 207 to like 187. And then my wisdom teeth came in.
Whoa.
And back then, there wasn't dorms for that school. So you were on the beach in a hotel with 2 double beds, and you shared the room. I shared the room with a guy named Merle Brett, who was 6'8" and 260. And there wasn't even any kitchen or anything. So it was like, man, I wrote down reasons to go, reasons to stay. Number one thing on reasons to go, grandma's cooking, granny's cooking.
Right.
One. But so I did go. I never got to play with them, but I really love what they've done with their program.
So did you fill out a bracket this year for March Madness?
No, I didn't, man. No, I didn't. You know what's really interesting to me? I'll watch girls basketball because of how great these women athletes are today.
Yes.
They're great shooters. They're phenomenal shooters.
Unbelievable, man.
They're better shooters than men. Men are better athletes.
Yeah, I can remember seeing Caitlin Clark when she was a few years ago, when she was a freshman. I was like, who is this kid? And then to see what she's done, like, wow, like over 3,800 points scored. I mean, and they got a great team. I'll watch it. I don't have any personal picks. I just like watching games that are competitive,
Yes. So DDP, hold that thought because we were up against our final break, and when we come back, I've got one more question for you about your time in the WWF. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. It is Girl Scout cookie time, and if you guys like Girl Scout cookies, Strange Brew Coffee House now offers Girl Scout cookie frappes at all locations, including Samoa, Thin Mint, and Tagalong. Delicious frappes are made with real Girl Scout cookies. Strange Brew Coffee House can be found at the University of Alabama campus, also up in Tupelo, Mississippi, if you are heading up there to Tupelo, or their home location over in Starkville, Mississippi. Go by and get a delicious Girl Scout cookie frappe today at one of the Strange Brew Coffee House locations.
Welcome back to the Stingray Show here on Tide 100.9. I'm Heath Hopkins along with Stephen Ray here on the Stingray Show. Our very special guest joining us the second time on the show is none other than DDP. And I figured out this earlier, thanks to Al Gore's internet, the Dallas and DDP is because you're a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. Is that correct?
I was as a kid.
Okay.
I don't have any favorite teams. I just love to have competitive. I love watching competitive athletics. I love March Madness on the girls' side as well. But the boys, if I just see a game, I'm watching it. And I will have a special place in my heart over these next 4 years for Virginia Tech, Scotty Steiner's son, Brandon Rick Steiner, which is the real last name. Which is kind of funny considering Rick Steiner became Rick Steiner at one point. But his son, I went and saw him play a number of times when he was in high school. He was all-state point guard from Georgia, and a great kid with an insane work ethic, a Cody Rhodes work ethic, DDP work ethic, like really intense. So keep your eye on him.
Will do.
So, DDP, I want to go to when you broke into the WWF, and that, of course, was where you had your feud with The Undertaker, there where you actually stalked The Undertaker's wife. First off, how did all of that come about, and what was it like working with The Undertaker?
Working with Jake was great, but the way it was set up storyline ways, it was just to beat down WCW. You know what I mean? It was what it was. It was business,
Right.
And I took it personally in the beginning, but it really wasn't personal. Whoever that first big WCW star came in, they were going to get dogged down, and I did not think about that. I thought, I was 45. Like I literally walked away from $487,000.
Wow.
They wouldn't let me. They wouldn't give me 100% of the money they owed me. If you left, then you got 50% of what they owed you. If I had a lawsuit against them too, because of all the that stuff. DDP got doll behind you. I mean, we had so much merchandising, but they had no idea how to do all that stuff because Turner Broadcasting had never been a merchandising company. They sold some T-shirts, but that was it. And next thing you know, there's 250 different things with our likeness on them. I mean, we had a lot of stuff that we never got paid on. And it was 12 of us who had the lawsuit. And it was down to me and Nash. And I decided I want to go only because I was 45 at the time. I wanted to have some good years up there. And I thought they would have treated me like, the guy who's easy to work with, could talk his ass off. Like I wanted to do People's Champion versus People's Champion.
Right.
Yes.
I wanted to
That
see
was
that.
the money. That was the money. And if it would have been me, like I was being a team player coming up there, because that's where because I didn't think I didn't think I had to fight for everything like I did in WCW. If
Mhm.
we were in WCW and Take was there and it's same thing, was stalking his wife, I would have looked at Vince and went, "Are you looking at my wife? I I'm gonna stalk who?" Like that just never would have happened.
Right.
Everything I did was reality based. So they
Mhm.
took it out of it, and I let at first it's just the way they talked me into it,
Right.
and you know, I leave it as it didn't treat me the way I wanted to be treated coming in, but
Mhm.
but as soon as it got about 5 years had passed, things started to lighten up a little bit, and over those last few years, they took care of me, and they were taking really good care of me. Go right up, going in the Hall of Fame and everything. And then I started helping AEW because of Cody. I didn't mean to help AEW,
Right.
helping Cody. And look at him now.
Yeah.
When he
Yeah.
left, they're like, "You're a mid card guy." Now he's the guy.
Mhm.
Yes.
He's selling more merchandise over this last year or so than anybody. And the
Wow.
fans want to see the story finish. Finish the
Yeah.
story.
Here's a fun question that I got for you. There's a lot of talk about you helping Butterbean, getting back, working out. Everything's been building up, and we've been hearing a ton about it. If there was a dream comeback fight for Butterbean, who would it be? Who would you pick for him?
Oh, I wouldn't have picked Tyson or whatever. I don't know if you've seen Tyson in the ring right now. I mean, he looks as strong as can be. I might have picked Jake Paul though. But really, one of the guys who are out there who's like MMA type fighter that's not can box but not can have all the boxing skills that Bean's got. I think anybody you put him in there is going to be a good fight. Again, I wouldn't, he'd like to see Tyson, but I wouldn't want to see him. But, but I think I really do think he's got one more fight left in him. And if you watch the video, which I know you guys will put down here, I mean, when you see where he was at, like
Mhm.
literally wheelchair bound, like he was in a chair most of the time. Could he walk uncomfortably? Yeah.
Right.
I don't know how much longer he would have walked, you know.
Mhm.
So for him to have to come back, he's an Alabama boy like you guys. Um, I think he's doing really great right now, and he feels good, and he's training hard, and hopefully he will get that one more fight. But if he doesn't, then he doesn't, But right now, it would be awesome to have him on the same card as Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, because that is going to get a lot of eyeballs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then depending on how he did in that fight, maybe it wasn't his last fight. You know what I mean? If you get on that card, with that card, anywhere on that card, that's like a WrestleMania for
Yeah,
Netflix's first, fight. Like that's a big deal.
that is
They're
a
not.
huge deal.
Yeah,
That's a very huge deal.
They just paid $5 billion for
Mm,
Monday Night Raw. You know what I
that's a
mean?
fun
So,
weekend.
they're
So DDP.
good.
So okay. So DDP, I've got two questions left for you. They're about the WWE Hall of Fame. The first one is on April the 5th of 2014, you had the opportunity to induct your mentor, Jake the Snake Roberts, into the WWE Hall of Fame. Talk about that moment for you, please.
No, both of those guys, him and Scott Hall, anyone who wants to see, can see on Amazon Prime, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, where we document that whole journey.
Mm-hmm.
For both of those guys to get sober, and both of them to get sober in the same house in the same year, and they both go in the Hall of Fame. It was great on both sides for me.
I
Uh,
bet.
Jake, obviously, a little bit more special because I got to induct him as well. And he, it's where he is today. That's really amazing. Because we're talking about how many years ago? 10 years ago now? Yeah, because we're in 2024. So 10 years ago, a little bit before that, Jake got sober. And now him and Cheryl are back together. The
That's
same
great.
Cheryl with a slap of the Rick Rude and all that. Very happy together. She's on the road with him all the time.
Wow.
And, it's really special, really special. I talked to Jake last night for 20 minutes. When I left, if you see the resurrection and that first day where I see him, and I hadn't seen him at that point in about probably 5 or 6 years. And man, when we were leaving there, me and my business partner, Steve Yu, who's the director of Resurrection, he said, "So what do you think?" And I said, "I don't think I'll ever be able to have a normal conversation with my mentor again because, he's too far gone." And that's what happens with the booze and the drugs mixture. It completely fogs your brain out. And 2 years later, a little bit, we have a decent conversation. 5 years later, I was like, wow, Jake is really he's doing really good. And then he had told me he had fallen in love in this one interview I'd done. I said, "Who'd you fall in love with?" He said, "Myself."
Wow.
Most people don't love themselves, and that's a lesson everyone needs to learn because you really can't love anyone else until you really love yourself and understand that you are the most important person. And Jake learned that over that period, and that's how him and Cheryl could get back together because this is the guy she always wanted him to be, just wanted him to be sober, So he's in a much, much better position in life, and couldn't be any happier for him. I wrote down everything I said there was all written down, and I planned it, exactly how I wanted to tell that story. But the only thing I didn't was completely improv. Was when I said, never underestimate the power someone gives you by believing in you. But more importantly, never underestimate the power you give yourself by believing in you. And that is so, again, that was just something I made up right there because I was feeling it. And it just came out perfect, So that was pretty amazing. And it was on my birthday. It was
That's
on my
awesome.
birthday. I'm inducting him. On my 58th birthday, so pretty cool.
So, DDP, my final question for you is about your induction into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2017. How did you find out about the announcement, and what does it personally mean to you to be a Hall of Famer looking back over all of your entire career?
Well, they were filming a documentary called Positively Living with DDP. And it was the last day we were filming, the last scene we were filming. It's sunset on the beach in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, where I'm from, at one of my girls, who's a good friend of mine, went to high school with, her bar. And I was outside of it. And, we're getting ready to, to start asking more questions, and they say, "Oh, hold on, D, boss wants to talk to you." And it was Paul Levesque, Triple H.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey man," he goes, "How you doing?" I go, "Hey, Triple H, what's up, brother?" He's like, "Man, I was just thinking about, how's the shooting going?" He asked me about that. And, and he goes, "Man, what a crazy, crazy career this has been for you." And, I can remember he was there when we were both in the power plant, which is that's what the performance center is. The power plant was the original place in WCW. And he said, "Man, watch you. I'm 22, you're 35, and I got to be honest. I'm thinking to myself, is this guy crazy? What makes him think that he could learn all you need to learn? By the time you figure it out, you'll be too old to be able to do it.
Hmm.
But man, no one worked like you. And that's a cat who's got one of the greatest work ethics ever.
I bet.
Triple H, insane work ethic. And he's like, you outworked everybody. You just kept coming. You believed in yourself. And then at some point, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, he's really putting me over huge. I'm thinking, is this that call? Because it's October and nobody ever really hears about going in the Hall of Fame until they're January, February, you know?
Mhm.
It was they're announcing you, they tell you, so it stays quiet. So they wanted to capture my reaction when I did.
Nice.
And the one thing that really choked me up when I said it was, still does, you know, I wish Dusty was here
Yeah.
because Dusty loved Triple H too. But when he died, Cody called me. I remember exactly where I was in Hartsfield Airport. And he said, Dusty wanted you to know. There's many times that Cody would call him his dad Dusty. But he said there's one thing he really wanted you to know, that he had five friends, real friends, that he could count them on one hand. He said some of those friends fell off the hand sometimes, and some of them came back.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted you to know you never fell off the hand.
Wow.
Yeah, that was powerful.
That
And to get it
was.
from him, that call from him on that, because Dusty had told me that before, not to fall it off and coming back on, but he said, D, I got 5 friends, you know, and you're
Mhm.
one of them, you know, that I
That's
really
awesome.
trust with everything. So that's originally when I started helping Cody, it was because of Dusty. But then I
Mhm.
got to know Cody and I realized, wow, this kid's super special.
Yes.
You know, super special. He told me his sophomore year, that winter, I said that summer, I said, so when you starting, I always called him Young Buck back then. I said, so Young Buck, when you starting football? He said, he goes, I'm not going to play this year. Now I'd gone every year to go speak to his team and give him the DDP
Mhm.
informational stuff, you know. But this year he's telling me he ain't going to do that because he wants to focus on wrestling this year. Sophomore year, he said, my junior year, I'm going to win the state championship. I'm like, wow, that's a bold statement. And he said, I said, you know what that's going to take? He said, hard work. Absolutely. You get up 4:30 in the morning and
Mm.
go start working out. Brandon Steiner, Rick Steiner, is the only other kid I've ever heard almost tell me verbatim what they were doing. Cody told me all the same stuff 20 years ago.
Wow.
So really kind of wild that they both had that same. I do this and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and then I go to practice, then I come home and I do my homework, and then I go to bed. Then I get up and I do this and I do this and I do this. Like people don't understand like the work ethic people have to put in when they, you know, create that mega goal. And if you
Mhm.
really work in, it's possible. I came back from LA to watch him go 48-0 that year. And then the next year, I was in LA living, and I called him, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, young buck?" And that's kind of funny, you know, whenever I think about that. I said, like Dallas, I lost. I effing lost. I go, thank God. And he went, what? Why would you say that? I said, Code. I said, you think you learn from winning? You don't learn from
Right.
winning. You learn from losing. You learn from falling down. You learn from making mistakes. What'd you learn? And he talked about it. And at some point, now I was 33-1 or whatever it was, and he started telling me that he finally figured out that everybody knew they couldn't beat him,
Right.
but their only goal was not to get pinned by him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been doing this. I take the guy down As soon as I realize what he's doing, I let him up. And then I take him down again. And I let him up. And I take him down again. And I let him up. And eventually I take him down and pin him.
Yes.
When he got to the finals that year, he was like 47-1. He faced the kid who was 48-0 and had beat him. And there they are. And he goes, Dad, get Dallas down here. And I was up in the stands with my daughter, Brittany, and I got to sit up with the family. Grandpa had to go. Somebody had to go. And I watched him eat that kid alive and go 48-1 or whatever it was and win his second state championship. So when I see the journey that he's been on, yeah, I get it, and I get it, him leaving. Though a lot of people, if they left too late. They normally had to get fired. When you're making probably, I don't know how much he was making then, but it had to be around $500,000 a year.
Wow.
Crazy money.
Yeah, good money. Great money.
Walked away from it because of a dream
Mm-hmm.
and a goal. So,
I feel led to say this. My 7-year-old daughter, Hazel, I got 4 kids, and she saw Dusty Rhodes. There was something on the TV, and there was Dusty, and she goes, "Who is this?" And I just said, "Oh, that's the American Dream, baby." Yeah, just thinking she wouldn't think anything of it. She was captivated, and so she started watching. A 7-year-old little girl, and now she found out that he has sons, and she wants to watch. And so she doesn't understand. She just started watching, but she's just captivated. But she loves and adores Dusty. And finally, she asked me the other day, "Is like, is he still alive?" I was like, "No, baby, he's not." I had to tell her the truth, and it crushed her a little bit. But she's very enthralled with the whole thing and the work ethic and just the charisma and captivating and all that. So I coach her softball team. I always let my kids pick the team name and the colors. And she goes, "Dad, I want to be the American Dreams." And I said, "Well, Hazel, don't you want to be?" She mentioned some other things, and she goes, "No." And she goes, "Can we wear polka dots?" I laughed and I said, "So he didn't always wear polka dots." And she goes, "Yeah, but I like polka dots." And I said, "Well, I'll let you think about it." And then the next day she came back. She goes, "No, I want to be red, white, and blue." I said, "All right, we'll be red, white, and blue, and we'll be the American Dreams." And I've had everybody stop me, all the other coaches, former players, folks at church, this and that. "Why are you the American Dreams?" I was like, "Because the American Dream, baby. The blue-eyed, captivating soul coming to you, reaching out, touching your hand." And they think it's funny. Yeah, I was like, "But she loves Dusty." And I was like, "And she loves Cody almost as much now." It's just fascinating how that family has just kind of come about. But I love hearing your stories about that family. It's just absolutely amazing.
Oh, boys, it's been your pleasure.
Hey, before we let you go, I got to ask this question. The Monday Nitro, where Sting came from the rafters, got you, and took you back up to the rafters. I've heard several stories about this. I heard you even called him Batman when y'all got to the top up there.
Yeah.
Look, I can do things, and I can do things that I don't like. I don't like heights. I think I could do that. I was like, look, I'll just bite the bullet. I'll just keep my eyes closed. I'll fight through it. What was that like when they brought that idea to you, and how did that go down?
Bishop did it as cavalier. He's like, "Oh, we're going to have Sting drop from the rafters to save you, and you're going to throw your arms around him, and then you're going to go back up with him." And I just no-sold it because I'd learned long before that, stop selling other people's, ribs, stories, whatever. He goes, "You're not even going to sell that at all?" I go, "Well, I know you're not just going to let me put my arms around him. You got to have something planned." So they put me on that harness, and I put my jacket over it, and you couldn't tell. And when I went out there to practice at 10 o'clock, before 10 o'clock, at like 4 o'clock, they hooked me up. I laid on my stomach. They hooked me, and then they brought me up 10 feet. Go, "You feel good?" I go, "Yeah, I feel good." He goes, "Okay, now we're going to." And what they did, it was a forklift. The rope goes up. There's a pulley. It goes like this, spindle, and then goes down to the forklift. And then the forklift drives off. That's how it goes up. I don't know that at the time, but they picked me up 10 feet in the air and said, okay, now we're going to take you to the top. I go, no, you're not. They're like, what do you mean? I go, put me down. He's like, no, we got to take you to the top. I go, no, you're not. I said, put me down. I got down. I unhooked myself. I said, bro, today I'm Frank Sinatra. What's that mean? I go, you got one take. That's it. I'm not doing it twice. So I wasn't really scared, at the time when I had it set in my mind, I had myself, my God, my mind right with God. And I honestly, I remember Hulk coming up behind me and I'm looking out when I'm going to take off, getting ready to go. And Hulk, the NWO hadn't come out yet. And he said, that's my idea. I said, yeah. And I'm not even looking at him. I'm looking right out at the ring. And he says, you're scared, aren't you? I said, nope. And he said, you're a damn liar. And I wasn't scared until Hulk hit me with a belt. I go to the floor. Sting drops down. I'm still good. Sting goes to clip me. And now Nash runs at him. So he steps out and hits Nash. He's like, what are you doing? Boom. What are you doing? No, don't. Like, he's going, get the hell away from me. Because this is a stunt we've never done. Like, let me focus on this.
Right.
And now I start hyperventilating because he's not feeling that good about this right this moment.
Mm-hmm.
It literally hooks me. And whatever code they had, the thing would come up a little bit. So now I'm off the ground about 8 inches. And at that point, I'm like, breathe. And I start breathing. And now I feel Sting's got control. And we go, bro. And as we're going, the people are going crazy. And I've got my eyes closed. And I'm like, open your eyes. You're never going to see this again. And I did, and it was so surreal because everyone was like, "Oh my God!" Like everyone was looking up as I go, whoop. And like you said, I got to the top, and when I got to that catwalk, I literally threw myself over, and I was hanging upside down. My feet were in the air, and he's hanging there with there's like a white light behind him, and that's where I really said, oh my God, you really are Batman.
That's awesome.
That was such a bad, but he took so many risks in that, and still after, happened with Owen,
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened up there, man, but that was so hard for everybody because I don't know anybody who didn't love Owen. I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that even he was a huge ribber, but I mean, a lot of the guys, let's just say they can be players when they're on the road. Not him. I mean, he was the true dude. Just a great human being, man. It was a shame,
great.
But
so DDP, before we let you go, would you please give us your favorite catchphrase that you ever did? Whichever one it can be, the floor is yours, but please give us a favorite catchphrase of yours to send you off with.
Well, the one that everybody knows is, it's been your pleasure, and you will feel the bang. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. All right, boys. Been your pleasure. I'm out.
Thank you.
See you, DDP.
Yes,
thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
guys. You're welcome. Leaving the building.
Feel the bang, baby. There we go. Dude, that was phenomenal. And we really do want to thank DDP for joining us not once, but twice.
Yeah, that was special. You know, there was still a question or two I'd like to get in, but he gave us lots of time, and I'm very grateful for all the time that he gave us. You know, the one thing I love about DDP, Steve, and I wish I could tell him this while he was still on the air. Hopefully, we'll get him back a third time, but he's done so much for so many. You know, he talked about how he reached out and was always there for Dusty. He was always there for Cody. You know, he was there for Jake. You know, he was there for Scott Hall. He was there for all those guys. He always gave back. He was always giving himself to others and to help in the worst part of, worst of times or influential times of their lives. And it that just means a lot when you have those kind of people in your life. That's just really awesome to have.